As you know, there's a wonderful writer named Ili Chiaro who writes poetry about his experience, his enlightenment experience. And one of them is called The Listener. And this was the first time that I encountered the idea that listening is purity. And so I've done some thinking about it, and I want to share some thoughts on the first three stanzas of this poem that he wrote. The Listener. Each person carries within himself a cunning listener, an arrogant intruder, annoying and nagging. His presence obstructs listening, which is purity, complete understanding, clear serenity. So, of course, what he's talking about here is the conversion of that divine energy that's within us, that divine isness, that Satchitananda, as the Vedanta names it, that love, wisdom, and being, which are the components of God, as it were. And each of us carries this listener within, but it's cunning because it attaches to the body and mind. It's what masks itself as our self, as an independent self instead of the universal. And it's cunning because we're very unaware of it. It creeps in around the edges, this egoism, this concern for the lower self, which manifests all of the vices, all of the selfishness that we endure. So, and it's annoying and nagging, he says, because it's when you try and control it, or when you try and discipline yourself, or when you try and abstain from your different, uh, habitual bad behaviors, it won't leave you alone. It just keeps picking and picking and nagging to get its own way. And so it's quite difficult. That's why perseverance is such an important factor in spiritual life. Because if we give into it, if we allow ourselves to identify with this temporal, smaller self, this body mind, we obstruct this listener in its pure form, the manifestation of a pure and unconditioned love that can be equanimously distributed without preference or aversion. So we lose that ability to listen with that clarity. It blocks our complete understanding, our clear serenity within, our inner peace. He says, when real listening occurs, the whole being is passive, relaxed, attentive, perfectly open, silent, and therefore inactive. But this inactivity has an alertness to it. It has an energy to it, a vibrance to it. It's not just the inertia of laziness or the inertia of depression, as it were, but it is this energized listening, this source of compassion, this source of caring and empathy. He says there are no expectations, nothing to be accomplished in its wholeness. Alert listening. That means because it has an access to this divine nature within, which is not zero, not a 0 point. It's pure love manifesting. It's pure wisdom manifesting. It's the energy and beauty of existence within before it runs through the ego and all the machinations of mind. But in this state of purity, the expectations are gone because there is nothing to expect. You're full, you're content, you're joyful, you're blissed, just in the experience of life with all of its potentials, having come to a point where you've dropped away your preferences and your aversions, your opinions and needs, your insistence on having your own way in things. So it's a wholeness. It's coming to know this interbeing idea that the Buddhists teach, which is quite a beautiful form of non-resistance, accepting what comes in the moment. The Christians I guess St. Paul talks about that, knowing that all things work together for good to those that love the divine. And so this acceptance of your moment as it is, acceptance of this moment, which is the name of God, the I am. It says, is it really possible to experience such a state? Because we have lots of doubts, and the ego is always opposed to this kind of thinking, is always opposed to this kind of practice. because it nullifies its effect. It reduces its control and power over our state of being. And so, is it really possible to do it when we're being fought against and when the efforts are being resisted by our egoism? He says you will find the answer within yourself after persistent attempts. Right, that again is that perseverance, knowing that this gem is worth its price, that this inner bliss is the point of life, to discover our nature, to discover what is behind uh, this thing called being, this thing called life. So he says, do not despair at any time. Don't be discouraged when you fail. Don't be discouraged when you get caught up, in the things that have distracted you from your nature, that have taught you that you're small, that you're depressed, that you're angry, that you're lonely, that you're unhappy. All of these conditions of mind that are quite tenacious when they get hold of us. He says, do not despair at any time, for in each of us are written endless possibilities, clear, certain, and precise. And this is one of the major practices of meditation, or one of the, I guess, not so much a practice of meditation, but one of the byproducts of meditation is just this knowing that in this moment you can do and be anything. You don't have to limit yourself to your past decisions. You don't have to limit yourself to your egoistic idea of yourself. That at this moment you can change and be, do, explore, find anything. That just existence alone is enough for a divine bliss to well up inside of us. When you don't get caught with the continuation of your past, that you don't get trapped by the desires of your future, that you're able to exist freely in this moment, fully awake and alive, seeing and never forgetting the miracle of this life, never letting the depression of mind, never letting the negativity of the news and society to overcome you, but always know that the world is as you choose to see it, and that by living a life of compassion, of service, of caring, that is what produces or allows to shine through our natural and innate bliss from this divine nature. So in that, persevere. Don't give up. Stay positive, stay loving, stay caring. Don't let the inertia win.